thank you everybody for making time to join us today on the second edition of the Media Relations group event by the PRCA. And first, let me introduce myself. My name is Afolabi Adio. I'm the Media Relations Group Chairman. And today we have a very special guest who is going to take on a very important topic, looking at the practical solutions to deal with the problems of corporate news hacking and misinformation that is currently facing the PR and the PR and IR professionals. So a little bit of housekeeping. This is going to be a webinar, and there will be opportunity to ask questions after. So the media relations, we were very lucky to have Jerome Lascombe. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Who is a seasoned professional, is a technology enthusiast, serial entrepreneur. I mean, he's a man that wears many hats. He's currently the founder of Wish Trust, which is the first certification platform for corporate and financial news, which is on the blockchain. He's the founder and president of Wistopic, an enterprise software company dedicated to PR and IR professionals. And he's also the founder and CEO of Upscotch, and also the co-CEO of the group, which is a leading PR and events and media and social media firm in France. Thank you so much, Jerome, for making time to take on this topic with us. I know you're a very busy person, so we feel very lucky and honored by the Media Relations Group to have you. Thank you. The floor is up to you.
That's too much, Afolabi. Thank you very much. I have nothing to say anymore. Well, yes, I wanted to today. Well, my people met with Afolabi, and they had this conversation about this growing matter of fake news, financial fake news that could affect the reputation of listed companies, financial institutions. And as at Wistopic, as you mentioned, Afolabi, so my software company that edits this solution for corporate communication specialists, as our clients were more and more concerned about this matter, about their reputation. They really required us to think about this. Our engineers were deeply involved in the blockchain, so that's why we came up with a technological solution that is a kind of antidote to financial fake news. But I will get back to it a little bit later at the end of the presentation. I'm sorry, I have a few slides, so Afolabi, if you can help me just move ahead with them.
Okay, absolutely.
First, I would like to tell you a few stories about what happened to really great companies that were their communication was hacked by activists. I'm sure you know a company called BlackRock. Maybe you don't know Mr. Fink, the man who's the boss of BlackRock, who's the kind of, what could I say, the godfather of Wall Street, because BlackRock is the biggest asset manager in the world. And Mr. Larry Fink writes and sends a letter every year, at the beginning of the year, an investor letter announcing his views about the market, about the strategy of BlackRock. So needless to say that this letter is expected. And when something is inside this letter, well, everybody is attentive to it. He sent the letter, it was in 2019, he sent the letter, a journalist from the FT got the information, and inside there was something very soft, claiming that BlackRock was contemplating a progressive withdrawal from investing in fossil fuel. But it was very careful, very plausible. And then the journalist saw that information and published an article immediately, just after checking on the website that it was really news coming from BlackRock. The problem is that Larry Fink never sent the letter. The letter was meant to be sent 2 or 3 days later. It was two activists called the Yes Men in the US who prepared a fake newsletter that was sent through a fake email and pointing to, maybe you can move Afolabi to the next slide,
Yep.
pointing to a fake web page. Okay, so it's quite exemplary because you combine the godfather of Wall Street, the first asset manager in the world, you combine with the FT, that is the leading newspaper in the financial industry, and they both got caught in the same fake news scheme. Another story, Falabi, if you can move, Vinci. I don't know if you know Vinci. It's a huge conglomerate, European conglomerate in the building industry and roads, etc., etc. In 2016, the media received a press release announcing that there were irregularities in the accountings of the reports of Vinci of the previous year, and that the company decided to fire the CFO. So big information. Bloomberg got the news, checked on the newsroom of Vinci, and then published the press release. Well, it published a lead. The consequence of that was that the stock value, plummeted by 18 to 20%. So that's a lot of billions of euros, in less than 20 minutes. Then the media received another press release denying the first information, saying, no, the other one was a fake. In reality, there was no problem. Bloomberg publishes a new lead, and there is the stock value climbs again, grows again. Not at the same level as before, but grows again. And then there's a third press release that is received by the media saying, oh, guys, no, the first one and the second one were fakes. We are Vinci, we are here. That's a real one this time. And don't believe what you've seen in the media up to now. Wow. So it was a very clever scheme, two press releases, one negative, one denying, and a fake web page, because they were clever enough to have used the domain, Groupe Vinci instead of Vinci Group. And there was as well a fake phone number to call a fake press relation officer in the company. So that was a pretty sophisticated scheme. And the consequence of that is that there was a suit. Well, the market authorities in Paris, where Vinci is listed, convicted Bloomberg, and they got a fine of $5 million. And the case is still in appeal. It's still, and they don't know who did that. But apparently, they think that it's not activists like the Yes Men, but more criminals, willing to make quick money on speculations. Okay, and the third story, Afolabi, please. It's about AP7. I don't know if you know this company. It's the leading asset manager in Sweden. They manage pension funds. And newswire agencies, especially AFP, AFP got a press release saying that they had decided bluntly to divest from coal industry, oil industry, etc., etc. And then there was, they checked the information. They even called the head of communications, who said, yeah, that's good news. That's our real news. No problem. I confirmed the information. So they published a lead. In fact, Afolabi, if you can move. In fact, it was a fake press release sent by Extinction Rebellion, the local Swedish part of this organization, giving a fake information, pointing to a fake website with a fake phone number and a fake head of com. So they added the human part of it, to confirm the information, claiming that they were the right people. So these are three similar but somewhat, there are some nuances in the way these cases were organized, the schemes that the activists organized to manipulate the information. Afolabi, if you can move. There are many cases, as you can see, and here are only the visible ones, because there are many, you know, small, what we call pump and dumps. You know, you generate positive information to pump the stock value, or negative to dump the stock value. You manipulate this and you try to make money out of that. But these are visible companies, you know, big companies. It goes from Bank of America to a lot of smaller firms that were concerned. Next slide. The evaluation of the cost, because obviously the cases I just presented to you, some of them had varied financial consequences. But altogether, the University of Baltimore made a survey 2 years ago, trying to evaluate the cost of fake news, of financial fake news, and altogether it was a 27 billion issue. At least it's the figure they mentioned. The market manipulation costs were evaluated at $17 billion, and the cost on reputation, you know, the negative impact on reputation was evaluated at $10 billion. So altogether, we are talking about not a small phenomenon, but huge consequences it can have. Next slide, please. And maybe you know this company called Kroll. Kroll is one of the leaders in business intelligence and compliance risk management in the world. And every year they published a list with a ranking of the most critical corporate risks as identified by CEOs. And you can see there that market manipulation through fake news is the number 5. Close to political instability, close to financial crisis, you see. So it's a risk that is growing, and that is maybe not everywhere, but very often in the minds of CEOs as a concern. Can you, thank you. So when you analyze the process, and I would say the operating modes of manipulators, you can always see that there is fake content that is quite plausible. It shouldn't be too surprising, you know. It's unexpected, but it's plausible. There are fake distribution channels, and they can be multi-channels, several channels that are manipulated, like even wires, you know. There's the case, I think it was for Bank of America, Business Wire was hacked. It was a fake Business Wire press release, looking exactly like the genuine ones. It's also very often fake verification channels, because when you call a wrong number, when you go on the wrong newsroom, it's a fake verification. Well, it's a fake verification channel. Fake people, you can see about AP7. That was that was a fake head of communication. And altogether, this has a very low technological intensity. It's pretty easy to do it. I mean, well, it's not, everybody cannot do it, but it's not that complicated to do it. Afolabi, can you please? So in this context, there are really a few points to address that make the situation slightly worse for companies, for corporations like yours. First, evaluation of the regulation. If you take, so this is an example about AMF, that is the market authority in France. They changed their regulation recently. And if you may, I may read this. It's they wrote, regulated information is transmitted to the media in its entirety and in a manner that ensures the security of transmission, minimizes the risk of data corruption and unauthorized access and provide certainty as to the source of the information transmitted. Sorry for my French accent, but this is pretty obvious. They try to put a higher responsibility on the size of the corporations in case of fake news distribution. In your a communication executive, you have to take this into account. If there is a fake news published about your company, it's also your responsibility. It's not only the media responsibility, like Bloomberg was convicted, in the Vinci case. Okay, Afolabi. There are a few other factors that make the situation a little bit critical. The acceleration of the time, for media, social media acceleration as well, dissemination, robots, as I'm sure you know,
yes.
Some of the leads that are produced by Bloomberg, Reuters, AFP, AP are produced by robots. So they can't be, a robot is not going to make a call, to a head of communications to check if the news is right or not. There is obviously the high frequency trading. In a company, in a case like Vinci, a big company listed, there is a lot of money to be made on a very short, a period of time with high frequency trading. And altogether, this, with technology that is made easier, makes the whole context a little bit more critical. Next, please. I'm sure you know what a deepfake video is. And they are getting, so this one about Zuckerberg is one of the best known, but there are many, many now going on the web. It's pretty easy now to do a deepfake. It was difficult 2 years ago. Now you can find apps, on the App Store, on Android, voice sequencing applications, the faces reconstruction applications. So it was difficult. It's far less difficult today. And clearly some deepfakes are so close to reality that you don't know. You don't really know if what is said is really a fake or real news from the right person. Okay, let's go now to the activists. Just there are a few categories of activists. Here, the two men you see there that could be working at the city, very well dressed, and they are called the yes men. There are two people who really, they consider themselves as a kind of artists. Their main activity is to manipulate information and to make it known. Because they always claim we did that. It's what they did for in the BlackRock case. Can you move, please, Afolabi? There is another a growing trend of environmentalists, who understood that the right way to draw the attention to climate issues and to what they consider as bad behavior, bad corporate behavior. They understood that manipulating information was a great way to draw interest. So they were behind AP7. They are certainly behind other manipulation, but we have no, how could I say, no proof about that. Afolabi, please. And there was a case 2 months ago. It's one of the most recent cases. There's an organization called Climaximo. That is a Portuguese organization, very active in Portugal, but also beyond Portugal. And they hacked the information of Galp. Galp, if you don't know, is one of the leading energy operator in Portugal, and they exploit oil fields in Africa. So, and their modus operandi is slightly different. They manipulate information, but they also organize street marketing activities. They like to make it obvious, there are some demonstrations, there is some advertising in the cities. So it's not only, that's the way they reveal, the way they manipulated information. And obviously there is another kind, but we don't know. I cannot put a face on a screen. These are the criminals, you know, with just one objective, one motivation is to make money with disinformation, manipulating stock value. Okay, Afolabi. So in that context, some of our clients were really concerned, and they said, okay, we use your technology to distribute information. Can you help us do something to avoid that problem? We don't want to be caught like Vinci or like BlackRock. And so as our engineers, as I said, we are deeply involved in blockchain. We developed a system that is called WithTrust, that is very, very basic. It's a kind of WeTransfer, if you want to compare. When your content, I mean your press release, your annual report, the last version of your logo, the last validated portrait of the boss, when this is validated, before you distribute it, before you publish it online, before you send it by email, you just put it in WithTrust, and the technology will create a, let's call it a digital print, you know, in the blockchain that is unique, that is really corresponding to the metadata of the document, to the DNA of the document. Sorry if I'm a little bit too technological. On the other side, well, you send your press release, you share it on social media. On the other side, the recipient, it could be an investor, a journalist, a financial analyst. If he or she has a doubt about the authenticity of that document, because it's surprising, because it's unexpected, they were expecting bigger, well, positive results, and they have a doubt about it, they just take the document, put it on withtrust.com on the other side, and then the technology will tell them in real time, this document that you have in hands has been certified as authentic by the emitter, for example, Renault, for example, Schneider, for example, Crédit Agricole, or we cannot certify that the authenticity of this document. Please check with another method. Okay, so WithTrust does not prevent the media or the investors to check the validity of an information as they do it already, you know, to make a call to, obviously. But if you take, you know, that recently Reuters decided to transfer most of their desk teams to Poland. I think they are great journalists at Reuters, but when you're a junior editor at Reuters, you receive a press release from Vinci, you don't have the phone numbers of the person, you don't know personally the emitter of the information, it's pretty hard to check the information, to check if it's right or if it's a fake. So the technology helps prevent that, that matters. Can you move, Afolabi? So there are mostly three benefits. The first one is clearly, well, to prevent fake news. And this has, that's the objective, but this has three benefits. The first one is to protect your shareholders' interests, because shareholders are the ones that are affected by fake news. In the Vinci case, if you had sold your stock when it was, you know, going down, you lost a lot of money. And as you know, there are many activist funds now that are in the capital of big companies, and these people are quite sensitive about the way companies manage their information. Second benefit is to protect the reputation of the companies, but also of the managers, because as you saw, one of the scheme is to manipulate or to how could I say, to usurpate the identity of a manager. And the third point, and we discovered that lately, it's about mitigating litigation risks. As I said, as I showed you with Bloomberg, media are often considered as responsible, but the responsibility gets closer to the companies now. If a companies use a technology, you know, to prevent fake news, tells the media and investors, if you want to check, this is the technology we're using to prevent, well, to prove the authenticity of your content. You published the fake news. You didn't ask us. We did our part of the job. You didn't do your part of the job. This mitigates our responsibility. Okay, so that's the three main benefits. Can you move, Afolabi? If you want to go and see on the web, if you go, for example, on this is Renault Nissan press room, they mention, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but they mention that all their consents have been certified. The same for about a quarter of the listed companies in France, some German companies now like Allianz, some US companies as well. So the technology is growing, and it has been considered, well, it's sponsored by Euronext now. As you know, Euronext is the leading market operator on the continents in Europe, and they sell WithTrust as a kind of reference technology to prevent fake news for listed companies. And some companies even go further. For example, AXA, they published an information that was sent through Bloomberg about the fact that all their communication will be certified with this technology, and that they would ask all their stakeholders, if they had a doubt, to check it with this technology. I think that's it, Afolabi.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for
Thanks a lot.
insight into this topic, Jerome. I mean, I personally, as you're aware, my background is in news distribution. I used to work with Business Wire. That was my first inroad into media and communication. And so when I saw WithTrust, I couldn't contain my excitement, because I've been part of many, I've been part of quite some funny litigation situation where press releases went out and we started getting letters from lawyers like, who allowed that go out and da. It just become really messy. So I want to kind of understand, the first question I have is, what is your relationship with the news wires? Is WithTrust replacing wires? Or what is the relationship?
Oh, it's quite complementary. WithTrust is not, neither WithTopic nor WithTrust are wires to distribute regulatory, OAM, as we said.
Yeah.
It's quite complementary. Our clients use Business Wire, Infado, all the wire services. They use their own distribution systems, platforms like WithTopic, and they certify with WithTrust. So it's complementary to the wires, not in competition with.
Not in competition. Excellent. And I think if you have any, all participants, you can type in your questions. If you have any questions, please type it in, and Jerome is here to kind of take those questions. You've mentioned the list of clients that you already have. You've talk extensively about the importance and how, I'm very biased because I'm in the news. I love the newswire business, and I can personally already see the importance of having WithTrust. I would have WithTrust on all press releases if it was possible. So I'm biased, but I want to understand, why did you adopt that blockchain technology? Was that the only way, or is there any particular reason why you adopted the blockchain technology in particular?
We adopted this technology because it's the safest way and the fastest way to guarantee traceability of a document. And it's the safest because we combine as well cryptology. We encrypt the metadata of the document, and then we generate a hash, what we call a hash in the blockchain. And we work on Ethereum. That's the blockchain that we are based upon. The fact that blockchain was our best solution is really because it's the best technology to trace the life of a document. So there would be other systems, but they are easier to manipulate or to crack.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I mean, we've opened the lines for questions. Please, people do send in your questions. I mean, we've got Jerome here. Please, let's take advantage of this opportunity and get the best out of his experience in this field. I mean, I know you've touched on it already, but I really would like to kind of get a better information in terms of the media and shareholders. I mean, how would they know they can check a document? I mean, what gives them that indication, as in the media?
There are several ways, but you saw, for example, AXA announced it clearly to all their stakeholders. Now you can check with trust. Most of our users have a little stamp, certified with trust on their documents. Most of them have a stamp on their newsrooms. It's really, it depends on them. But clearly, at the beginning, obviously, it would be a lie to tell you that every journalist, every investor will check every document emitted by a company. That's not the case. That would be a lie. And it would not be necessary, because some content are very basic and no risk of, but it's important that people are aware that they can check when they need, when there's a doubt. And it's growing, for example, in the real estate industry on the continent, there are about 2 out of, 50% of the real estate companies today, listed ones, use WizTrust to certify their information. So one can tell that the journalists, the investors that are interested in this industry, now they know that WizTrust is a certification technology.
Excellent.
So it's growing, and the fact that Euronext also adopted this technology, sponsors it, make it known to the listed companies as a reference technology is also helping.
Okay. So basically, I mean, for example, if I was a shareholder in any of these businesses and I see a press release, there would be like a stamp, which I would say, okay, this is like a WizTrust stamp. And that gives me the peace of mind to know, okay, if I doubt anything in there, I can go ahead and check it on.
Yeah. You can go, for example, I showed you Renault. You can go on Renault newsroom and you will see that it's very visible on every press release. We certify, this information was certified in the blockchain by, etc., etc.
Yeah. Another interesting thing that came to mind, because I worked a lot with a lot of PR agencies, especially here in the United Kingdom. Is it something that could be adopted by, let's say, for example, the likes of the FTI consultant? Can they come and say, look, we distribute press release on behalf of our clients. Can I have access to this topic and use it as a way of making sure the press releases that we put out are set? Do you work only with corporates? So the major question I want to have here is, do you work only directly with corporates, or do you also work with PR agencies or hire agencies?
The users are mostly PR and IR people in corporations, but there are also some legal people, or risk people. People in charge of risk or reputational risk. There are some few positions like that. I know, for example, at HSBC, they have reputational risk managers, this kind of population. And agencies as well are certifying content when they get the formal authorization from their client. Clearly, you need to be clearly identified as a certifier for or from a company to be able to do it.
Okay.
So if you work in an agency and that your client says, okay, I want you, I trust you, I want you to certify my content, you can do it. And to be quite frank, there are very few agencies until now. It's growing. It's a growing trend. It's about 50-50.
It's about 50-50. Okay, excellent question. Yes, I have another question here that's coming. People really, I mean, I think you've touched on it already. They want to know why did you sign that strategic partnership with Euronext? I think you've touched on that already. There's another question here.
Well, in fact, I think Euronext is very concerned, like the market authorities, market operators are very concerned about fake news because they are indirectly responsible for the way the market works, So if there is too much manipulation, it's not good for them. So that's why they are quite concerned, and they thought that it would be a way to mitigate the risk.
Okay. Another question has come through. Somebody wants to know is, do the media have to pay for using this?
No, that's totally free. The subscription comes from the emitter, from the company. Okay. The media is totally open. We want to make the verification as easy as possible, so there is no cost for the media, for the shareholders. Everybody can check, can verify the authenticity of a document, and that's free. Only the companies can certify officially the documents. So this is where the business model is on this side.
Okay, excellent. And yeah, another question. Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about it. Somebody's asking. I mean, what does this technology cost? I mean, I think maybe is it a question you want to address, or would you like somebody to send an email about that? So,
I mean, how much we would bill, or how much it costs to work?
How much does the technology cost?
It really depends on the number of users. Okay. And there is also an estimation of the number of content, or the quantity of content you want to certify. But it's not a cost estimate, it's a rough figure. But if you want to access to the platform and certify a reasonable amount of content, it is around 1,000 euro per month. Okay. So it's a limited budget for a big company, and a big company willing to protect its reputation. Our objective is to have as many users as possible.
Okay, excellent. I mean, these are pretty much all the questions that have come through. Do we have any questions? No other questions have come through yet. I mean, I've greatly enjoyed
Afolabi, if I may interrupt you just with a final word. There is a white paper that we produced a few months ago that explains that gets back to all the hack cases, that explains a lot something. So if some of you are interested, we would be happy to provide it.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you so much. I mean, I've really enjoyed this presentation. Like I said, I'm very biased. I think anybody that is in news distribution should be thinking seriously about it, because I've seen I've experienced it. I've been involved in some very nasty situation where news had gone out and it's not been authorized, and it all became very, 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 very funny. I mean, if you have any more questions, I mean, you can forward it to Kiri, which is the event host, and we will pass it on to Jerome to take on. I'm very sure we would like to have you again, because this is a topic and it's a situation that is not going to go away anytime soon, and we would definitely like to have you again to take this topic on with us again. I mean, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for making time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasure, and we are lucky to have you to take on this. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in the future. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Bye.